I'm back. Yes. Yeah. Thank you all. So, clap up, clap up, clap up. Stop. You got from the other mic. Shout out to the mic. So we're not in this conversation. Started. Come on, Calvin.
What's going on, everybody? All right, so welcome to this week's or this month's conversation, which we're going to kind of start off and piggyback off of one of the questions that we asked last in June. Actually, I forgot. We did have a pencil back for the weather. So one of the questions that we asked when we talked about the community was we asked if social media either helps or harms community, and we got a really diverse group of answers. And so now I kind of want to dive into this question, and the question that I'm going to ask now is social network a connector or not? All right? So that's the question that we're going to dive into this conversation that we want to dive into. Question again is social media a connector or not? All right? Question. Who found out about this event online? Raise your hand. Who found out this event by word of mouth or flyer?
Well, those who can't see, it looks like we had more people who heard about it than word of mouth. So, we want to open up this conversation to you all. That's what we're here for. So, that gives you all. So, anybody want to know? We all feel like it's helping or doesn't matter. Is it really bringing us together? You look like you got it. I know.
So, do you all feel like social media kind of handicaps us? You know, okay? You got it right.
Yeah. Okay. No, I just really believe that just because we're in this time and age where we want everything kind of like right now, and instead of kind of taking our time and doing research and things that's I want to go. And we kind of lose the communication, the interaction part with networking, meeting people, and different things like that, because we can sit at home and say whatever we want to say behind the telephone on the computer or anything like that. So it has its pros and cons, but the older I get, I'm finding that it's more negative. And I have children, older children, and they are really engaged in social media.
I think it's like everything, where every blessing is a curse, and every curse has a blessing attached to it. And I think social media is the exact same way. I think for me personally, as someone who is an introvert, and it took a lot for me to come to be in this space live and living color with all these beautiful people, it's certainly easier for me to connect with people online. But at the same time, as a business owner, I literally have had people follow me on social media for a long time, and then they do business with me, and one of the first things they say is, I didn't even know you was from St. Louis. And I'm like, how am I not creating a presence and a connection with my local community? That's because we're on a platform that pushes us out globally, and we tend to neglect what's going on locally. So I think it's a blessing and a curse. I do have some nieces and sons and cousins who live their life based on the appeal and or approval of their fan base on social media, and I don't think that's healthy at
I was not one who wanted to ever really get involved in social media because I felt that it was too inclusive. It would just get involved in like put information out that you may want to stay quiet. So for that reason, I never did. But I got to a point in my life where I felt like I needed to reach out to a broader audience of people, meaning my family, especially when this COVID-19 shutdown occurred. I needed to know what was going on with everyone. So I used it, and it's been profitable for me as a result. It's a way for me to keep in touch with people that I don't see. So that's the case. But I feel like with social media and anything, you need to govern the use of it, and you need to set boundaries for yourself. You need to protect yourself and teach your children how to protect themselves. It is a good thing. But with that said, you must have some kind of control over its access, the use of, and protection. Exactly.
All right. I normally won't participate, but I'm going to jump in on this because you're talking about talk. I'm going to tell you that social media is not, it's not a lie. It's not good or bad. It's a microcosm of the little worlds that we create on our own. So there are real people on there, and then there are fake people. We all have a profile, and we can adjust and change that avatar as we wish. We create all kinds of spaces in social media. Social media isn't the problem. The problem is that some of those things, the foolishness that you see on there, those people are thinking those thoughts. You know, and so it's an outlet that they feel is safe, and so they have kind of a free will to just go ahead and just say some things that they normally would have kept to themselves. And vice versa. Sometimes people didn't have a voice, now have an incredible voice and can impact their communities, their country. So again, it's just like when telephones came around. Before telephones, people had to talk face to face. Telephones made it easy for me to talk across the country. Same thing with social media. It's how you use any tool. If I take a hammer and I beat a nail, I can build something. But I can take a hammer and reach a window and it's broken. So it's really about how you apply it to it. The real problem, though, is that there's no structure around it. Everybody that can touch a phone, touch a device, is given the ability to use it. Just as I can turn a car on doesn't mean that I can drive it. I got to go through the process of getting licenses and take tests and whatnot. But I see kids as early as third, fourth, maybe even second grade walking around with a cell phone, and they have access to the internet and can communicate. Now here's the kicker. I'm judging by the internet process. Whether you have one or not, whether you create it or not, you exist. And if you don't manage your own digital footprint, somebody's going to manage your footprint. In this room alone right now, you are live on Facebook. We see the world sees. So the things that you're saying and doing, you'll never be able to get that back. It's whatever you say is there, it's going on for eternity. Kids are now being judged as they want to go and get a job or go to college. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look up your profile. I'm going to find out what you've been saying, what you said 10 years ago. Now let's be real. I came up with an error with the stuff that I did. I can tell you what I can make whatever story I want to make about what I did as a kid. There's only a few people that can tell you different. But now, if it's not on video, it does not exist. And so we're again at the limit. How do we start to leverage it for a positive, but also teach and encourage the kids and people to practice the positive use of it versus just, oh, I just turned it over to you and now you just do whatever. Everybody.
I was gonna say, can we dive into that? Because I agree with you. I think social media could be used for a lot of positive. And I call us accountable back up, right? I'm gonna change stuff up because we are sharing some of these things in our community that is not good for our community. Okay? And nobody making us share it, and we are sharing it, even if it is so right. That's all I do. Like, take social media stuff too serious. I'm like, oh, it is social media. And I'm like, okay, but still, you know, put action on it, the people disagree with it, does not negate the fact that you're there. You still spread the type of continue to spread it and put it out there. So this is my question, I guess, to everyone, as even, just like what they say, hours mutual, right? It's hours mutual. Same thing with social media. So how can we, and should have you this, how can we, individually and collectively,
How can we leverage that again? With the power of the good. So I want to ask you all, and shout out to Orlando for that as well. How can we do what we can so we're not continuing to disseminate and perpetuate those images and some of that other foolery out there? So how can we do that?
I think the number one thing is we have to take accountability. That gentleman said that internet is needed to put on good, but I think that's incorrect. I think it's definitely one or the other. Even though he's not a body, he's not a person, has personality, we all see that. And until we take accountability, that stop sign is out there. But if you keep running it, you have legal laws for that. I think until we advocate for legal laws and legalities to come in and police the internet, and then we as a community start policing our community the way we should, because we always want to say it takes a village to raise our families, but we never want to really step in and be that village that we should be. We always want to say, oh, it's nothing wrong with this, but it is something wrong. Because if we look around this community that we're living in this generation, I'm sure everybody sees that something is wrong with this generation, but we want to keep pointing that, oh, they're okay, but there's something wrong. And until we step up and say, I'm not going to allow this and stop in the background, a lot of times, like you said, we hide behind the keyboard, we hide behind a lot of stuff. We don't want to step up to the plate and say, we need to take accountability
Yes.
as people, as a community, as a village, and stop some of this foolery.
That's real.
Or can I add something?
Sure.
Allow the village to help. It's a double-edged sword where you'll have someone, well, that ain't your responsibility. It's like, okay. And then you become removed as a community because everyone wants to stay, inside themselves because they're afraid of what someone would say. And so I think that's one of the issues we have as a community when it comes to social media. Yes, someone may share that fight video, but no one's going to actually report it because guess what? The community is going to say,
That's real. That's real.
I love it, but I didn't report it.
I think the accountability definitely has to play a role, but the accountability and the education of the power of the platform. I think one of the things that none of us really, to your point, think about when we come to social media, and I built my entire business and brand on social media, so I'm biased towards it for business, but not so much for personal. And the reason is because of the permanence of it, right? You can put something up for 1 second and take it down and realize an error in judgment, but if someone has screenshot that,
Yep.
everybody understands the permanence of that. Case in point, Kevin Hart missing the Oscars because the permanence of
His comment,
something he said 12 years ago, and that has the ability to affect us all in that way. So I think to be accountable, but accountable to what? The education of the power of this platform. I remember coming up, I grew up down the street, Wellston. I went to Sodan my freshman and sophomore year. That was the year they closed it down and went to international. So I went back and finished at Wellston. And I remember having 2 or 3 bullies in my life growing up. Can you imagine having literally thousands of bullies?
Yeah.
It's bananas, but are we talking to our children and each other about the power, whether it's used for good or evil, and how it can really affect people?
So, question real quick on that one. I saw you too. And just because I love how Ms. Pam talked about the village. But question is, do we feel like social media allowed us to become a little too connected? too involved?
Yes,
Or
yes,
or is it really just
no.
it put a magnifying glass on how crazy the human race just really is, just an impairment. You know, like basically, I think when they were talking about, we know, like a broken record, the police brutality and things like that. You know, folks is asking like, does it seem like it's everywhere? And I was like, no, it's just cameras are everywhere now. So I wanted to kind of pose that question as well as we kind of dive in. If you had a comment right here, and I see you too, Orlando.
Yeah, I think the conversation shifted a little bit, but my comment was really about the village of whose responsibility is it? And that's the question I pose to all of us in this room when we start talking about, like, where are we going as a community? And what do we want that vision to look like? Whose role and responsibility is it to create that vision and to establish those standards that we have or set for ourselves and want for our families that we support or that we, in our community. So I just ask that, when you all think about whose responsibility is it, whose is it?
And I'm glad you said that too, because I really feel like it really ties back into our conversation in June, because when we talked about the village and what happened to the village and, being afraid to redirect some kids in your neighborhood because you're afraid that somebody might say, don't talk to my kid like that, or you're afraid of the kid, you're like, don't talk to me like that. Are we do we have that stigma too on social media where, like, if we see something like case in point, I know that I'm into it. And so I know that I do follow some of my little girls and some of the young kids. And I know that I see something on the story and I'm like, have I swiped up and be like, bro, what is this? But I would lie and say, but if I'm being honest, I have also been like, oh, this is what in the world, and kept on going. Or even unfollowed. So I got a responsibility on that. I'm gonna throw that back out there. We got one right here.
It's a relationship. It's a relationship. I can't do that to any random person. Now, all of my kids that I follow, I can tell you, all right, man, you need to do something different. But if you don't know that kid, you can't, or don't know whatever, you can't just correct it. That's not going to go well.
And I'm going to be the pushbacker again because, we talk about this village mentality, but we got to stop acting like all our people are put together right. We got to stop doing that. We are not all mentally right. So you can't tell me that there's somebody that ain't mentally right until my baby starts because they not really there. And I'm talking about some adults here. You can't even tell me what's going on. I like that to bring that trauma over to my children. No, you're not. So we have to stop with the village and talk about mentally and mental health and healing before we even get to a village, y'all. That's real. I'm going to preach on that forever because as somebody that strongly talks about Black community, I see so many times, and not even just talking about people in the community, I'm talking about leadership. It's moved out. I know, right? It's moved out. It's ridiculous.
You got it.
You in there now. I'm not just talking in circles for real. Because they might not get to the root of the problem. Now, when you mention the mental illness aspect, there we go. That's what we need to talk about. Because until you deal with the root, the root gonna be messed up all the time. Until you deal with that root.
Because I don't know about y'all, but I think that everyone has a family member that Facebook is their therapy.
It is.
They love
it. Be the first person like, I ain't gonna talk to no therapist. You need to go therapist and tell your business, boo-boo. You don't talk to everybody.
So once again, the next thing I really want to ask that question is social media just that magnifying glass because it's so accessible, it's so readily available, and it's and it's there. It's literally saying, "Talk to me." I don't know.
It's saying that. What's on your mind?
But I feel like social media's core root is acceptance. Everyone wants to be accepted or heard in some capacity. Why are you telling the world that you got a flat and the cat ran over your foot? Who cares? But you want someone to like or love it and ask you, oh my God, are you okay? It's that feeling of me.
That's what it is. share much more of your life than you will people that you see every day.
That's good.
So that's part of it too.
Couldn't even get out of
Right.
bed and say a prayer. Thank God for waking up for something. At the laptop on phone, look at social media was like,
That's true though.
So you got brought me back.
Yeah, no, I think, just like listening to it, like, if I think about it, I've been on social media for like 20 years.
Wow.
Man, that's real.
I've been on social media for 20 years.
I watched that like plenty days.
Part of that is like, you know, I'm 30.
I was about to say black lady, 33, black lady, right? Black lady.
I'm saying that to say like the conversation around kids on social media is not new. You know, and people being on social media, and I think something that younger people understand about social media and the internet in general is that it's a lot of, like you kind of started, it's a lot of fake people on social media.
Yeah.
So a lot of the behavior that you see is because they feel like it's not real. Now, you know, as an adult, you hold different kind of stands for your life and what you put out there. But at 15, even before social media, teenagers were teenagers. So to the point about the magnifying glass, and then to the point, how can you use social media? I mean, all you can kind of do is try to curate your community. Like, that's the best thing that social media does do. You know, like, there's some people in Hazelwood right now that's not here, but they feel the same way that we do, and we can connect with them.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, it's a tool that can be used for good or bad. But a lot of people who use social media understand that like it's not real. It's just not. You know what I'm saying?
Do you really think it's not real?
I mean, to your point, the people who are living their life on social media, they are struggling with something in real life.
Okay.
And so if I do know them, I probably don't even need to talk to them on social media. I need to call them and say, what's wrong? Because you go on social media acting crazy. That's a call for help. So for that real connection that I have, like you said, I guess I could get the report button more, but I don't even follow some stuff that happens. I think it's just on my social media, so my social media is also know.
And I was gonna say, I think at a certain point when you do get to a certain mindset, you do start like unfollow. You be very particular about who you following or what you see.
And that goes back to the education piece, not just about what our children or our community should do or not do on the platform. We should be educated on the platform. Like, a lot of people don't understand what's really happening with social media at large. It is a global separation and a compartmentalization of everybody, because the algorithm will only deliver to you the things that it knows you like.
Yeah.
So if I keep going on social media and all that keeps popping up are things that I am in full agreement with, I by default begin to believe that the rest of the world thinks that way. And it's not, but I scroll through 20 different posts and all of them have a similar ideology, so that must mean everybody thinks that way. No, we got to be educated on the do's and the don'ts of the platform from a social standard and community standard, what we want to see from our best and brightest, but also the bigger play of all of these platforms and what is their end game of us using this platform, and it's creating a lot of division.
So, and I'm glad you said that too, because I want to throw in this one. This is another thing too, is because I kind of feel that it was a shift, but where does COVID and the pandemic fit in all of this? Because, like, do we feel that the COVID and the pandemic, do we feel that this same type of, ideology or thoughts about social media and social connectedness, do we feel like it was a shift before the pandemic happened? Or I don't know. I just wanted to, because I mean, personally, I do feel like people definitely rely a lot more on the internet to remain social because we were pretty much on lockdown.
I think the pandemic got those last few people who were holding out. Man, I don't do Facebook. I don't do none of these social platforms. COVID-19.
Because I ain't gonna lie, a Zoom meeting sometimes I gotta get dressed and put on cologne and
but I'm not saying that's a good or never been on Facebook or anything. But the pandemic, that was one of the only ways to connect and find entertainment and find, especially when the real quarantine happened. I can't go to my mom's house and give her a hug because I might spread COVID. She's a high risk and that.
Yeah.
So how else will she connect?
Doing a
So
Zoom
I
birthday
think-
party or
I
something,
think that was that last small percentage of people who swore on their life that they would never do social media. It got them on social media, and all of y'all know it's hard to be on any of these platforms and not make them part of your daily routine. And I hesitate to say the A word, right, that did get to these platforms, but you at least make them part of your daily routine, and anything that becomes part of your daily routine is what.
It is.
Another question. So going back to that, like taking accountability and going back to like, you know, checking yourself first or whatever, do you feel like it is our responsibility to take breaks when we need it? You know, do you feel like it's a personal responsibility to say, you know what, I'm gonna delete this app and see how it goes? Do you feel like we have a personal, or maybe even a personal responsibility to be like, you know, I'm not gonna respond to everything?
I think that's hard because, especially if your whole, like me for instance, my whole podcast in the world right now, Lord Jesus, is social media. And I be so mad at myself because I feel like I should be doing more of a presence. I had to talk to my therapist with this. Because I do have a therapist and I'm not ashamed. I have to do it. Like, because, I mean, you want to be, like, you're up against a whole lot of, you know, competition. And so you like, do I need to show every day what's going on? If that's how people want to connect with me? Because I'm not, because people tell me, you don't have enough social media presence. And I'll be like, yeah. How many times a day do I gotta really post? And they're like, you need to be posting 2 or 3 times a day, and you should have this, and you should have that. And I'll be like, first of all, I'm a mama of 2 kids. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. But so I get so like stressed about not having another social media presence to connect with people. And I'm like, ugh. So I do think it's hard to be like, yeah, I just wanna throw it away. Because I am trying to do that. Like September, I said I'm just taking a break. I'm getting away as much as possible, but it's hard.
And also, just being self-aware. I think some people are not just aware of self and being mindful and being present in spaces and moments because we're used to scrolling. If we don't, and I do this. If I'm, waiting in between a meeting or a call, mindless, let me see what's going on here. And also, like I said, being mindful and self-aware of understanding like, I feel very overwhelmed. I know for me with COVID, because it was so much. So I learned, okay, Kelly, I'm not feeling this. I'm gonna mute this. I'm gonna walk away from it. I'm gonna unfollow things. But again, having that self-awareness sometimes to be like, I recognize some things within me. I feel anxious. I feel really nervous. So having that self-awareness, I think that is really key as well in making sure that you're taking care of yourself. And again, it ties back to mental wellness and all of that. So it's tough though, because this is our world. It's our world. It's everywhere. Yeah.
I just want to throw it out there again. Everything that you all are talking about, it's going to always go right back to your responsibility to yourself. You got to be in balance. I'm not in balance. I promise you. I'm diabetic, so maybe I shouldn't eat as much carbs as I should. I'm going to eat the carbs and sugar sometimes, right? That's why I'm diabetic. But I know I should. We know that if I had a balanced diet, that would come out perfect. That rule applies to anything and everything. I promise you, if you just eat broccoli, you're not going to be healthy. You eat too much broccoli, that was good for you, but there's some other things that you have to have in your diet. And it's the same thing with this. The things that we hate about social media, I'll put $5 to everybody else's $100. I go to the library and find that same information from hundreds of years ago. This is not new. It's just the platform is new. The same thing stuff is written in the book. Somebody else is just doing it now. It's just, like we said, it's accessible and we are giving too much attention to it. Now, I'm going to say it still educate out of middle school, 20, 30 years. I'm telling you, schools are not preparing kids for life, but they're definitely preparing. They're going to tell you, oh, you can learn how to code. For what? For what? We've been coding. If anybody ever had on stage, yeah, on stage, you were coding. Literally, you were coding. But the reality is that they're preparing you for their purpose, which is not. I'm not going to let me say it's not inherently bad, but it may not be in consideration in your best benefit. They are about money. So people will tell Savannah she needs more presence on social media because they're thinking her purpose is about how many dollars that she can make. Maybe that's not her full purpose. Maybe part of it is, hey, let me help take control of the narrative. Imagine how many books would not be written by Black authors in this community for Black kids, like the ones in this room, if it was not for social media and technology. Not gonna happen. We got entire groups. I promise you, every week I see at least 2 or 3 books from St. Louis authors, Black authors. It's not that it's bad. It just, we have to be balanced. We can't, it's not, nothing is just like perfect. I love shit. It's no sugar.
Okay, so you're gonna have your carbs and your sugar, but then you can balance it out by working out.
Come on.
So, then it's like that. So with social media, well, I but with social media, you have to find a way to have it now. So yeah, you might want to take a break from lunch, but you know your business or your purpose is on social media, then you need to find a tool that can help you take a break without you need to be there physically. Like, get something that's gonna stay in your post. Get you a post that come out, every 2 days, and you don't even have to think about it. It's gonna be engagement, and that's gonna help you have balance so that you can not have to physically be there.
We just had a whole 8-hour document last week.
That is so crazy. I saw that. He got
We talk a lot here, heard a lot of different perspectives, again, we talk that, right? So what's our next steps? What is an action item that we can do individually, and then, hopefully move towards obviously the collective? What are our next steps?
Well, this is not necessarily anything like your question, but it's a Black woman and us all being in the Black community, we need to remember first and foremost, social media sits on all white platforms. So if we ever want to project a positive image of ourselves, then we'll have to do something on our platform. I don't believe social media is a blessing in any type of shade, way, or form. Also, we have to remember someone like Marcus Garvey who moved thousands without social media. I socialize with a lot of people on the phone, person to person. Like, I really feel like we should get back to that. Also, a question for everyone is how many of us would still be as powerful or established in our career or in our communities without social media? Because we don't control the platform. So today, they can wake up and cut it off. How many of us would still be able to interact? The only way that I will say that social media has helped our community is George Floyd. That's the only video because that went global and that changed a lot of people's minds about how we live and what we've been doing and dealing with already. Like Alan said, it just puts a microscope on it. You know what I'm saying? And I do believe that. It just magnifies it. And all we're doing is letting other people into the world that we already live in. And Dave Chappelle said one time that he was on a comedy special. He was talking about how someone came really hard on him on Twitter. And he said, you know what though? Twitter's not real. So I don't care. Facebook's not real. Twitter's not real. TikTok's not real. I also want people to really, especially my Black people that are in the
room, just pay attention that you can say nigga on social media, but you can't say cracker. I've been banned from Facebook like 6 different times for 30 days straight. So I think that really lets you know, like, this is not, we are talking about, it's our platform, It's not our platform until we have the networks, and we put it out on our own social media. You know, Facebook is owned by white men. You know, all these social media all the platforms are owned by white people. So I think once again, it's just something that I feel it's a tool that white supremacy has used, and they know that we're gonna get on it and we're gonna show our ASS, so to speak. Like you said, people showing fights, people will tell on themselves quick. I've had cousins who have been bagging up on Facebook, and I'm at the college, I'm like, what is wrong with you? So when someone comes kick your door, it's your own fault.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet. But to your point, so there is one black social media app that I know of. The problem with the black social media app is that it's all gonna start small and getting the word out, and people like it and working on all this stuff. But there is something called Black Junction, and I don't know about Apple, but you can get it on Android.
You said Black
Black Junction, JUNCTION,
Okay.
Junction. And you know, it got issues and you know whatever, but it's starting up. So it's just a step in the direction of us having our own platform.
There's also Isaac Hayes III's fan base. And fan base actually out of the gate allows you to monetize your content. Fan base. Yeah. So basically it's 100% black owned, and they are taking on funding. So if we want to really make sure that something of our own moves and lives, we can actually invest in fan base to make sure that it makes it to where not just invest in setting up a profile and putting content on it, but they actually do fund rounds every 3 months or so where you can contribute 500, 1,000, or whatever the case is, and actually help them grow. You're invested in the platform. So it's a Purple Hat fan base, and it has all the tools and bells and whistles of all these other platforms. But immediately when you have your platform, you can go and buy parts. And if Alan is doing Good Talk podcast and I'm watching it on fan base, I can give Alan parts, and they convert those parts into dollars.
That's
for
what's
accounts.
Hey, that's exactly how we do it. Hey, but thank you guys so much for contributing to this amazing conversation. This is it's definitely all about dialogue, but then also, like I said, how can we make something grow if we don't support it, if we don't invest in it? So thank you for that. That's a good call, actually. Support, share, invest. Like, this is our own stuff, because at the end of the day, we all we got. That's what I'm saying.
And that's kind of a trigger word for me, because balance people automatically think equal.
Right.
And what your balance is might not be balance for me. And the analogy that I like to use is football. One team has what's called a balanced offensive attack. They run the ball 30% of the time, they throw it 70%. That's balance for them. Another team has to run it 70% so they can throw it 30%. That's balance for them. So we have to be careful with the balance and don't think that my balance has to look like Kelly's balance or Orlando's balance. I am crazy with how much I work, but that also has a lot to do with the conversations that I have with my wife and my family and how much she allows me to work. And when she says it's time to go away and turn this thing off, then that's how I find my balance. So everybody's balance doesn't look the same, and sometimes you get caught up in trying to make my balance match your balance. Oh, you work too much. According to who? Or you don't work enough. According to who?
Any other comments? What do you think?
I think it's kind of building on your thought about balance, and it really stems from your core being food. And we talk about mental illness or mental health as if it's something wrong. But when you think about it, we all have issues.
Yes.
It's who knows about it now. Social media magnifies them sometimes, or some of the things that you see come out that you know something ain't quite right. Those are red flag signs. But just think, if we're whole, what our communities could look like, right? And how do we get that? So that I heard you say, my therapist.
Yes.
It's a great thing to give you that balance that you need, but we have to we gotta have that heart to heart.
Yes.
With ourselves and our community on the things that we need to be whole.
Because I mean, even, and I'm gonna say this because people be like, "Well, therapy don't work for me," and that's fine. It may not work for you. Did you try anything else to help with your mental or your well-being? And just because it works for me, it goes back to what you said. It doesn't make me crazy, or it's like you say, ain't nothing wrong with me. That's how I am. It just helps me.
And you try more than one therapy.
That's why I know, right? I know. That is real. That is real. I know. That's a whole other conversation. We gotta have, it's all like coming together. I ain't even. But we gonna get it because y'all know as much as we love having the conversations a little bit about those actions, like what we're gonna do when we leave here. But we like to have fun. We like to, as Orlando loves to say, black joy. Let's bring some of that into this space. Let's have some good time. So, Alan, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this part. This is all you, baby.
Well, so another thing we like to do for the cause is we like to highlight other black things. And so whether it's resources for the black community or even things like games. And so this right here is another black-owned game called Culture Tags. www.culturetags.com. So this is the game we're gonna play. Last time we played Oxford, which was this was fun. Pretty much, basically, I don't know if you guys remember the social media craze where you're seeing different type of letters where you have to figure out exactly what they're saying. One of the biggest ones that I've seen is like this, like www, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you know you could. And that's Snapchat. And after our conversation, I'm so bad. But it's like, you know you're crazy if you know what this means or whatever. And so basically the game of this game is you guess what this is based off of clues. And so, case in point, this right here, the category is songs and lyrics. So I give you clues and say, all right, this is a song by Nelly.
DDAGYEO.
This is a song by Nelly. It's not the chicken head, but it's another dance. Boom. Drop down to show you. So you get 90 seconds. So you get 90 seconds to get as many of these. So we can break it off. So we're gonna break off into about 3 teams.
Oh, 3 teams?
All right, yeah, we got 3 teams actually of 4. I think we have 12 people. And so you get 90 seconds to get as many of these for your team. All right. The team with the most points at the end, if you can pass, but if you pass, you do lose a point. The team with the most points at the end, we actually have a very special gift that we're going to give away, which are some amazing shirts.
Shout out to Flourish.
Yes, shout out to Flourish. They're going to actually, after our game, they're going to actually share a little bit of information with us. And so, all right. So if we can kind of go ahead and split up. I mean, if y'all just want to go, we got 1.
Shout out to Flourish and a Black Babies Matters t-shirt.
And I'm going to give each group some cards.
That's what he said. Yep. Yep, that's what he said. Somebody
She got it.
I'm gonna do this when I get my money. I'm gonna make sure I guarantee I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna this stuff. You're gonna, what do you do? No, you're gonna make sure you got it. Make sure you got it. It's guaranteed. No doubt about it. I'm going to. Start with this matter.
That is one of my favorite sayings. Yeah, they did the point. Yep, but they didn't pass. But they got 3.
You can't pass. If you pass, you lose the point.
Time, go.
All right, so this right here, you do something crazy in your family, and you gotta to that. And your mama will probably say this to you, watch you, and you start crying, or you start looking like she tells you to get yourself together.
Fix your face.
Fix your If you don't fix your face, she'll tell you to do what?
Go get my bill.
Go get your and the reason that you might have to do that is because you up bouncing around and she don't tell you.
Go sit.
There you go. And along these lines, listen, it's really real, and she tells you that, come on now, because I did this, so I will do that.
It always get lit with the game.
Yeah, they got 5, right? 5-3.
They doing round 2? Round 2. Y'all want to shuffle that game? We gonna shuffle.
Here, I got you.
She want to start. Yes. She said, I want that. Shout out to Flourish.
All right, you ready? Y'all shuffle. Just make sure they shuffle. All All right, ready, set, go.
They say if you throw this through a window, something will, if it gets hit, but it's an old saying about can we use the word in a sentence?
No, you can't use the word in a phrase.
If you throw this, okay. It's an old show. You can do what you want. Yeah.
Let me lose voice and fast.
Oh,
It's okay. Starting now, you lose voice and fast.
and you be like, what it is what it is. There you go. When you hear somebody snapping, you be like, girl, you better. Pray. Church. You better pray. You better pray.
That's good.
This person is Fresh Prince is born and bred. They say pass.
So now -1. We're just gonna do that one because she didn't know before. So that's the
If
first one.
somebody remember in Friday when you was coming around to get there, what did he tell them? They say don't.
Time. So give them 4. They got -1.
That's right.
All right, what they got? What's the score?
So 4 and 3, so they got 7.
All right, so you got 7. Y'all got 5. You guys got 5. And you got 7. Okay, 7.
We added points together, so I only need 2 more to win. Technically, sorry. Come on, Queen, work.
Ready, set, go.
All right. A famous prayer, Steve Harper, yeah. We out in public and we see someone we haven't seen for a long time, we will probably say, hey. Almost, but they ain't seen you in a while, so you probably gonna say, come on. And it's not, it's another word from Mike. You, instead of Mike, you say you. There you go. She got her groove and there you go. When someone is telling you some BS and you basically ask them this question, right? Listen. Come on, you really, like, they own some old mess where they're trying to get you to talk about something you know, and you say, come on, you're telling them to do something, right? You're telling them to, come on. And we say, ask me if I care.
So they got 3, right?
They got 3.
Oh, shoot. All right. So it's tied, y'all. Okay, actually, they're up by 1. You y'all want to do another round?
I want a t-shirt.
I don't know if we still have to put it in the corner. What time we got?
Are we still got
healthy babies and then thus have healthy communities. And that the work that we do is we look at the root causes that are driving the disparity, which simply is, why do we have Black babies that are dying at a rate 2 times that of white? And if we really look at it, each year we lose enough Black babies, I'm gonna just say babies, to fill 12 kindergarten classrooms each year. 8 of those 12 are Black babies. So if we're talking about the potential we're missing out on for our community, something's wrong. And as we look at, the gap is getting wider and wider. And as you think about what happened over the last 2 years with the pandemic, it's even gotten worse. But what do you think may be driving why our babies are dying before their first birthday?
Infant child.
That is babies that die before their first birthday, but why? Racism is one of the underlying drivers, right? But we gotta keep
There's so many
healthcare
and nutrition.
nutrition,
I think it's
Education for the mom.
education, prenatal care.
The medical system is just not made for us.
Yeah.
He's trying to tell us that we are the same.
We're not. We're not the same.
So let me just share with you all real quick, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Mia, who can talk with you about some of the things that we're actually doing. But a lot of the drivers, as you all talk about systemic racism, it's driving how our systems operate. So when we go to the doctor for care, we don't get treated the same.
No, we don't.
And I ain't just saying the same, because we really shouldn't be treated the same. We need things that others do not. So the systems that we're talking about our healthcare, but we're also talking about things that we live and interact with on a daily basis. Education, opportunities for jobs, food and nutrition, right? Walking outside in communities that aren't necessarily healthy environmentally for us. Housing, transportation, do I need to go on? We're talking about all the things that we interact with on a daily basis. Was that thunder? I gotta, like, one of those things? Okay. So for real, what we're really talking about are the things that these things are by design. Yeah, right? So if they're by design, that means we can redesign. So what we're trying to do is, in partnership with community, those that have experienced some of the inequities and the disparities that we're talking about, are helping to create solutions. Who better to tell you how to fix things and the experiences that they have than those that have? So I want to share, Savannah and both Mia participate on our Community Leaders Cabinet. We have initiatives that are really focused on addressing transportation, making sure that we have healthy and nutritious foods. We're talking about things that, like, putting our babies to sleep in safe environments. So that I can go on and on, but I would love for them to share with you a little bit more about our Community Leaders Cabinet. Savannah or Mia?
Our Community Leaders Cabinet is made up of a group of people with lived experiences that mostly, some of them live in the communities that we serve. We serve a lot of disadvantaged proportion communities and zip codes where there are a lot of poverty going on. We don't have the best grocery stores. And with Black maternal health, that's the reason why a lot of Black moms that are pregnant are not getting the nutrition that they need. So the Community Leaders Cabinet, we stand up for health disparities. We stand up for Black moms that are impoverished, that don't have employment, Black moms that have lack of transportation, lack of Medicaid. With Medicaid expansion, it will help a lot of these Black moms because they will be able to get to their doctor's appointment through transportation. They will get the adequate food if there was a lot of healthy foods in our community. I am a community health worker. I work with Nurses for Newborns. I serve prenatal and postpartum moms. So being in Flourishing to Generate Health is right up my alley because I stand up for Black moms and Black babies to ensure that education is taught, to ensure that employment is done and connected to resources, which that's through our Community Leaders Cabinet. We talk a lot about resources, what we can do out in these communities to help our Black moms and our Black babies.
Yeah, and I was just like, for the most part, for me, what I love about Generate Health is they're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk. The community leaders have literally steers every effort that they're doing. So if they like, should we do this? They gotta go, hey, steering committee, do y'all think this is impactful? Should we be doing this? And these are again made up of everybody, of people. And I would say like me, I was just in it. I was a mom, just had a baby, and just felt like I needed to get out here and do more. I got on the cabinet, and since then, I have just flourished. So it really is taking community people who's every day and putting, I like when Laura say, it's not empowering them, but just giving them the platform to be empowered. So they have the power, just elevating their power. So
One last thing I would say is, until we change policy, we don't change, like sustain change. So those are the things we're advocating for, is when we're talking about healthcare systems, why should we walk in and experience things that, I want to say just downright disrespectful. So those are the things that we're talking about changing. We call those small P, things that organizations and businesses can change. And then we talk about big P, things that the state governs. And so we talk about changing those as well. So if you all think about, well, what role do I have to play? I'm so glad y'all asked, because every one of us have a role. A, educating ourselves, but then B, if you know someone, right? Let us know. I'm gonna ask Savannah, how can they contact us?
So
Savannah's our community organizer, by the way. So I can say,
yes, no, you definitely can follow us on Facebook, social media. We do have a website as well. But if you guys have any events coming up too, because the community is still talking about being more present in the community, let people know that we are out here and what we're doing. So you can Savannah Spray at Generator.
I'm now STL.
STL.org. I'm like, is it STL? Yes. So that's Savannah Spray, SPRACT at Generator.org. Again, we are on Facebook, so please follow us. The website is generatehealth.org, generatehealthstl.org. So make sure, and I got like takeaways back there. So like a flourish, like flyers, some little baby safe magnets that can go on your refrigerator.
We need everybody.
Yeah, take them, please share them. Also on the back of your shirt is some info. So please watch the shirt and let people know. Right, Black Baby Matters. Shout out to Floyd. Shout out to Generate Help. Shout out to the community.
Yeah, so let's connect to get them on the podcast.
You should definitely get them on the podcast. You can get the community on.
I think we're gonna need you guys to come down to our office. We have a lot of young pregnant mommies, and I think this will be great.
Well, definitely email me again and
And if you have moms that are going through this crisis and try to get help, I'm a community health worker. I serve over 28, 30, 40 women.
All right, y'all. And this is it. Next time, don't view from this end. View from in here. Be here. All right? We got to go now. We ending here.